The collector's pavilion is a blend of history, sophistication, and originality that connects generations across eras. Welcome to the world of exclusivity and beauty. Alexandra Chudnovskaya is the art director of the museum, a known photo artist and art collector. She also loves history and appreciates beauty. Alexandra herself owns a collection of fans and perfume bottles. The Collector's Pavilion is a private museum which was located in the quiet corner of downtown Riga, the place where the Art Nouveau style dominated at the turn of the 19th-20th century, amazing residents and guests of Riga with its fantasies. This historical center of Riga is included in the UNESCO list of the World Cultural Heritage. The rich decor of buildings, sculptures, stained glass windows, all of it to this day fascinates with its sophistication. Same can be said about the exhibit items in the Collector's Pavilion. For almost 30 years now, we have been providing access to our collection, most of which date from the late 19th century to the middle of the 20th century, and also greatly represents the Art Deco style. Many times, the exhibit items from our collection were demonstrated at thematic exhibitions in other museums. Over time, I have decided to renew the access to these unique objects to people with similar interests, to share all kinds of stories and legends related to these items within the framework of my museum. In 2015, a private museum, the Collector's Pavilion, opened its doors to all visitors in a historic building on Elizabeth Street in Riga. It was located in a chamber room with recreated authentic interior of the beginning of the last century. The concurrence of many historical factors helped to choose the name and format of the museum. The famous expression that Riga was a little Paris appeared around 1920. In the same period, in 1925, an exhibit of contemporary, decorative and industrial art, Art Deco, was opened in Paris, where an exposition called the Collector's Pavilion was presented for the first time. After that event, it became very popular throughout the world to open special art salons where owners made their private collections available to visitors. In our museum collection, we do not single out any specific item, making it the centerpiece of the exposition. All exhibit items are of equal importance, and we share their interconnection with human destinies and place in history. I grew up surrounded by beautiful antiques, preserved by 3 generations of my large family, rooted in the history and culture of Latvia and Russia. All of them were far from being collectors. They lived with those objects, used them, and took good care of their belongings. The collection per se was created by Tamara Chudnovskaya, my mother, a well-known Latvian artist and dedicated collector. An interesting fact, the portrait of my maternal great-grandmother, Zelma Krole, painted by the famous artist Aleksandra Beltsova, is in the collection of the State Art Museum of Latvia. Zelma was an excellent dressmaker, lived in Paris for a long time, was acquainted with the Latvian beau monde of that time, famous artists, writers, politicians, and their wives. The collection is quite diverse, united by a common idea to bring together a lot of authentic household items and ladies' accessories. They can be categorized into separate topics: fans, jewelry, bijouterie, paintings, graphics, photography, porcelain, half dolls, little bric-a-bracs dear to people's hearts. I take pride in the fact that many of the items in our collection at one time adorn the houses of Riga residents and reflect the history of my hometown. A special place in the collection belongs to fans manufactured from the 18th century to the mid-20th century. Over the years, they have been purchased in antique shops at sales in Nice and Paris, as well as at international auctions. The finest ivory carving, painting by artists, handmade lace, embroidery, intarsia, a combination of the most sophisticated technologies. All of this makes a fan a luxury item. Several fans in the collection also belong to the members of my family. And these were the very items that serve as the beginning of collecting fans. Porcelain items in the museum play an equally important role. Many of them are also related to family history. The collection includes exquisite tableware, figurines, half dolls, and other household items that adorn the interiors of the mid-19th and first half of the 20th centuries. Bijouterie and costume jewelry. Basically, the collection consists of the Soviet period items, pendants, brooches, earrings, created in Czechoslovakia. The Czech craftsmen developed their own designs for their items, also copied ancient jewelry from previous periods. Much of manufacturing no longer exists. A small part of the collection is represented by knickknackery belonging to an earlier period, the late 19th, early 20th century. Right, the sparkling of Bohemian rhinestones bewitches and fascinates the female soul. If before the museum existed on the premises, now we have decided to go digital to keep up with the times. Hence, we open a virtual museum, the Collector's Pavilion. My team and I begin telling the story of each item in our collection, but not all at once, little by little, like reading a book, leafing through, reading, studying. We will communicate with all interesting people, collectors. We will share their and our stories. We will also try to recreate the past in order to better understand the present. The Collector's Pavilion lives on. Welcome.